Well, a move that I think most of us like is that the Blazers told DeAndre Ayton to get out of here.
Get out of here.
And he's going to get paid to get out of here. We don't know how much. That hasn't come out yet. Hopefully we find out at some point today.
By my understanding of it, whatever he signs for is what will come off of Portland's books for next year.
So if he agrees to like a $17 million buyout of a 35 owed, we have the rest of that money on the books for the year?
So maybe. My read of it was it's whatever he signs for with another team comes off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if he signs a $14 million deal with the Lakers.
Mid-level is what it's rumored.
About 15, whatever.
Yeah.
That comes off of Portland's books for this year.
All right.
I think, but, we'll see. Doesn't really matter for this offseason because I don't see them being super aggressive with free agents. And he's an expiring deal, so it'll be off the books after this year.
Well, go get a shooter.
Oh, you want a shooter? We need shooters? I thought Hassan Whiteside said we got shooters.
Yeah.
What happened to all of our shooters?
Dame was here. We had shooters. I mean, look, we can talk about the team building stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
perplexed?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not being critical when I say that. I just kind of not seeing it, but I see it, but I don't see it. But
are you winning now or are you developing? What are we doing next year?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, Denny is a win-now player.
Yeah.
I would argue Tumani is a win-now player.
Without a doubt.
Drew Holiday is old, but indicates to me win-now player.
You're trying there, yeah.
Everything else is very...
Development.
Yeah, Ballmer-esque. Like,
developers.
You can tell me on a text line or the YouTube chat, Shaden's a win-now guy. Prove it, Bob.
Yeah, or Scoot is going to have a breakout
right?
year.
Like, I hope all of these things come to fruition.
Or Young Hanson's the next Chinese Jokic.
Yeah, I loved Ryan Russillo coming out and basically laughing at people tying him to Young Hanson because I guess he said he liked him, and then him saying, I'm not acting like I thought he was the world here. He didn't average great numbers in China, and that league kind of sucks.
He had a jokey clip that went viral from our fans where he said he did a baseline spin move and one dunk, and he had a jokey line where he said that's the future of the NBA, and everybody took that and ran with it.
And they thought it was like gospel.
And he was like, I'm kind of being tongue-in-cheek here. He's kind of a 7-foot Chinese dude, kind of funny.
He's got some stuff, but like I'm not going over my skis on him. Anyways, I digress. The point is, do you see it? Because I'm back and forth on this. Like,
yes,
I understand the youth part of it, but the Drew part of it, I don't know, man. There's a lot there. Where are you at on the team building of it so far?
So I am right there with everybody being perplexed. Totally get the reaction from people being angry. I think they've had a horrible plan of messaging for a number of years now, and that starts with the GM and the coach saying basically different things every time they open their mouths. At the end of last season, it was, we're going to push for a play-in. DeAndre Ayton is your best center on your roster right now. There's no doubt about that. Now, is he a championship caliber center? No, but he's better than Donovan Clingan is at this point of his career, and he's obviously better than whatever Young Hanson's going to give you, and Robert Williams can't stay healthy. So buying him out and moving on from him is not a move that screams, we're trying to win now. The next domino that I'm looking to fall is what happens with Jeremy Grant. Because if you're able to get rid of Anthony Simons, DeAndre Ayton, and Jeremy Grant in the same offseason, for the love of God, you should have done it a year ago. But
you won.
Thank Jesus they're all gone, and I don't really care about the return. If you're attaching picks to get rid of Ant and you're buying out DeAndre Ayton, where is there a market for Jeremy Grant? Somebody point me in that direction.
I was told there was a team with a deal.
Sure, they were both on expirings. Jeremy Grant ain't on an expiring, and he had the worst year of his career arguably last year.
Yeah.
So I just have a hard time seeing where that trade partner comes through. What I will say is this. I do now see a little bit of a long-term plan, and I brought this up with the Drew Holiday trade, because I think they're gambling on, now maybe this ages like DeAndre Ayton's contract, I think they're gambling on there being value on the open market in a year or two for a vet like Drew Holiday on an expiring deal of that caliber. It depends on how he ages.
Depends on how 3 years left, doesn't he?
He has 3 years left.
This season, the season after that.
Yep, 3 years left on his deal.
People aren't going to want a 37-year-old on 37, and that's the part of that you might have to be like, hey, maybe we didn't move him.
Here's the thing, though, and this is what I brought up with trading DeAndre Ayton. Portland is not in a position right now where it makes sense to bring on somebody with a massive contract. Like, you're not winning now. You're still trying to figure out what all your young guys have. Who is Scoot? Who is Shea? Can Klingen's head stay on if he plays 25 minutes a night? Can Young Hansen hang in the NBA for a season? Like, you're trying to figure out all these pieces. The point of it is, in a year or two from now, you have this huge load of first-round draft picks. You just added another one on draft night. You have the pick swaps from Milwaukee, so you got a nice pool of draft picks to play with. And if you pair that with an expiring Jrue Holiday contract, that, I think, is your point when you're willing to make a move and say, we're going to bring on a guy with a big deal. You want an expiring deal? You want to get out of your star? Here's $37 million coming off your books. We'll take that deal. Oh, by the way, here's first-round picks.
Okay, so the tough part of that is if you'd moved him next year, he'd still have 2 years on the deal.
Yeah, I don't know if it's next year or the year after that. I think that's what I'm just trying to figure out what their plan is, and if I'm guessing, that's what their thought process is, because...
So that would feel like 2 seasons of kicking the can around,
you're still
saying,
a long
let's
ways
see
away,
what we
dude.
have.
You still got a long ways to go, man. What is Scoot? What is Shaden? Can Young Hansen play in the NBA?
That would be 6 straight years, potentially, of no playoffs, which I think would be right at the franchise
This is what happens
record.
when you screw up a tank, man. When you don't accurately do it and keep vets on the roster and you win too many games, the thing that they need the most is the hardest thing to get, and that's a star. They have not found a star yet.
There are a lot of people that would agree with what you're saying. I think there's a lot of people that the Blazers can do no wrong. Anything they do is a great move.
Right.
But if you're telling me this might go 2 more years of no playoffs in your hypothetical scenario here, which may not be wrong.
Would you pick them to make the play-in right now as constructed next year?
I got to see what the rest of their moves are. I know that's such a cop-out fence.
But let's just say
answer.
they can't find anybody to move on from Jeremy Grant.
If Jeremy doesn't
and they add a random 10-point-per-game mid-level exception shooter. Is that a play-in team in your mind?
They need injuries to happen to be playing, yeah.
Need some breaks.
Yeah, they need some breaks to happen, which certainly can be a possibility. They also need certain guys to play much. Like Shaden can't shoot 30%.
No, they need
Donovan
development
has
years.
got to not be doughy and out of shape. He's got to be able to play clean 25 minutes a night, which clearly they're going to be asking him to do now.
Yeah.
And they need Young Hansen to be a something. I don't know what that is. I don't know statistically what that needs to be, but it needs to be a something.
He can be 9 and 7 off the bench. How about that?
If that's what it is, then that's something. But 6 straight years of no playoffs, like I don't know how people would still be defending that situation. The other part of this too is they're in the middle of a buy.
They are in the middle of a sale.
They're going to go to auction, and so the ownership stuff. I think it's very fair today to sit here and wonder what are they doing entirely.
Yeah.
Again, I said this last segment. I'll say it again. You can say DeAndre had no value and that's a lot of money, and I don't disagree with it. In fact, I'm happy they moved on. I'm glad they didn't linger. They said, you know what? We're not going to get anything. We're moving on from this. I also think it's obviously fair to say at the end of the regular season, if I would have told you what it took to get rid of Ant and DA, I don't know if people would have been ecstatic about that. I think they would have been, what?
No.
We're not going to get anything for it?
Right.
So I'm not hating it. It's a little puzzling, and I see some avenues of what they're doing, but we also need to be very fair and honest and say, let's wait to see what's going to happen after July 1st.
Yeah, I think this is telling me that they, one, are acknowledging their mistakes from a year ago. They should have traded Jeremy Grant. You should have moved Anthony Simons when maybe there was a little more value prior to this last season. I don't know what the market would have been for DeAndre Ayton at that
also,
contract.
Ayton would have been one that, did they kick that around, or did they say it's going to be better for an expiring, and then we won't get anything, so we'll just pay him?
And very well could have, and then it backfired on him, and they couldn't find a partner
I
for
do
it.
agree with that thinking that they probably mismanaged the assets.
Yeah.
They probably should have moved them when they could last year and just said, hey, man, Scoot year 2.
Right.
Go.
Yeah.
Whether he's ready or I don't
Let's
want
just
to hear
try.
any more
Sink
about
or swim.
ready or not ready.
You're in year 3 in the NBA.
The
Go
league,
play.
Yeah, the league ain't built. Like, you got to see what you got, and you get to see it now.
You don't get a 10-year runway to figure out if you can play in the NBA. It's time to sink or swim. Let's see what you got. And I'm hoping that happens this year. And that's the one part about the Jrue thing that I'm at least somewhat okay with, is that I don't feel like he's the kind of guy who's going to dominate the ball on offense, and I want the ball in the hands of Scoot and Shaden. So while, yes, he is another guard, yes, that will take minutes away, he's very different in his game than Anthony Simons is, and I think it should free up those 2 young guards on the offensive end of the floor. The part that they're trying to figure out right now, and this again goes back to the mistakes that they've made over the last couple of years and why I've been so angry. In order to win in the NBA, you have to have a star that you can build around. You just do. You have to have a dude. And they don't have one right now. They got a lot of really good players. They got a lot of pieces that they're probably proud of. And Kamara, who's developed, and Avdia, who had a
Denny
great
is
year.
certainly being framed as a guy that
he's not going to be a number one on a championship team.
But your championship is a bit far from where
on
they're
a
at.
competing team. He's not going to be a number one on a championship competing team.
But he is being framed as one.
He's a very good player.
I'm not telling you that's what they
Maybe
said
he's
outwardly,
a 2.
but
Maybe he's a 3. He's not a number 1.
he's a 3.
And okay, so we're in the same boat there. And I think now that they've realized the missteps in tanking and not working out for them, you were a ping pong ball away from Cooper Flagg. You were a ping pong ball away from Victor Wembanyama.
You were a ping pong ball away from Dylan Harper.
You were that close, right? To maybe get one of your
guys
guys
and got that second pick.
I think the thought process now pivots to Plan B. And Plan B in acquiring a star is what usually happens in the NBA every offseason. There's 1 or 2 of these guys that's pissed and they want a new home. And you're trying to set yourself up. This, to me, was a part of the draft night trade that they made of moving back in the first round, getting another future first-round pick. So you look through their future assets, right? You got their own pick in 2027. You still got to figure out the Chicago thing, so good luck with that.
Well, you also need a disgruntled star to exist.
You do, but it's the NBA, man. It's like every month I feel like there's a new guy demanding a trade.
Okay, but Giannis wasn't it.
No, he's not. But there's been stars that have been traded, and there will be stars that continue to be traded. It's the NBA. Now, will there be one that wants to come to Portland and accept the deal?
That's a big part of this, because Kevin Durant was dictating his own terms.
Yes, he was. A lot of these guys can dictate. Depends on where their contract's at. But you got a first-round pick in 27. You got the pick swap with Milwaukee in 28. So if things go sideways for them and they do trade Giannis by then, you just added the Orlando first-round pick that you got on draft night the other night. So we'll see how that shakes out. 29, you got a pick. 2030, you still have your swap with Milwaukee. So you have these first-round picks and a big contract. And I think that's their long-term play. Develop these guys for 1 or 2 more years, and then be in a position to try and go find your star and make an all-in move.
Dame package is Denny Avdia, Toumani Camara, 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
It's a good return.
That's not bad at all.
For a guy that ended up popping his Achilles a year later.
I've seen a lot of Heat fans point out the Heat package and look, they got Malcolm Brogdon and DeAndre Ayton. It's like, no, dude, you got to look at the other moves that happened.
Yeah, the 8 and 1 obviously didn't pan out for him, but they got Toumani in that deal.
Yes, they did, and I think you would take
If they
that.
didn't have Toumani in the deal, then I'd be clowning the hell out of them. But they got Toumani, and then Toumani became an all-defender in the NBA, plus the first round picks.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying about the star. I don't know who the star is. And
It's
I don't
not a
know.
guarantee. Not a guarantee.
Yeah.
But your 2 choices of finding a star in the NBA right now, because you're never going to sign one in free agency because they don't get there.
No. Yeah.
Or an all-in trade, or drafting them. And they have not been able, at least as of yet, they have not been able to draft him until we get
Who's
Chinese
a Clutch
Jokic.
client? Is Clutch going to reward us for all the stuff that we keep doing for them?
At some point, they owe us one.
drafted their second-round guy in the first round at 16.
We did.
Can we get something back, Clutch?
At some point, they got to steer something our way.
Dear Rich Paul, stop writing letters for LeBron.
Yeah.
And start steering your stars to Portland, buddy.
Get us a star, okay?
We're a Clutch team.
We're the home of Nike, damn it.
We're the home of Nike, and we're the home of Clutch.
Give us a star.
Give us 1 star. That's all we're asking for. It's not a lot.